It's maintenance time, and you guys know what that means. New ships are on their way, and we will be doing a data mine of the new content. With Yostar planning for Anime Expo next week, and highly anticipated PR7 expected to drop shortly after that, this is only a minor event. A German event nonetheless. It's going to be called Welcome to Little Academy. It's going to have 3 ships in the gacha as well as a 4th in the accumulation rewards. If you remember the Frostfall event from last March, it's going to operate similar to that. So let's not delay and let's talk about the new content. I want to start with the equipment today. We are getting a modified 533mm quad homing torpedo mount. It's obtained when you reach 8,000 event points. Not farmable though, you can only get 1. Man, did the devs just slap on an extra 12 damage points and call it a day? It looks nearly identical, including the fire rate of the original quad homing mount. That is pretty good, and they just added 12 extra base damage to that. So in that way, this is strictly better. If you were using magnetic torpedoes, you were probably already using the gold quads instead of the rainbow quins because of the reload time. So in that case, these new torpedoes are arguably the best acoustic magnetic torpedoes in the game. The only other competitor is the newer low spread Eagle Union ones, and sometimes you don't want low spread torpedoes. All that said, in short, these torpedoes are strictly better than a previous torpedo we were using on occasion, so at the very least, this equipment is a must pick up from this event. Shouldn't be too difficult to obtain, just make sure you log in and play the event. Alright, let's move on to these ships. Since we started with equipment that comes from a milestone reward, let's go with the ship that comes from a milestone reward. For 10,000 event points, you can obtain the Elite Destroyer KMS Z43. Stat-wise, she looks pretty bad. She's on par with the other Type 1936B ships, so Z35 and Z36. Neither of those even see play in their own Z-class fleet. So let's move on to her skills. Skill number 1, every 20 seconds, she has a 70% chance to increase the firepower torpedo and hit stat by 30% for 10 seconds, only to herself. If it fails, all current enemies lose 10% firepower torpedo in speed for 10 seconds. So you're guaranteed to get a buff. So that's cool, I guess. I'm not sure which one you prefer. Sometimes I feel like the second one might almost be better. I don't know. Interesting. Okay. Skill number 2 takes 10% less damage from destroyers, firepower, and torpedo-based attacks. So only destroyers. That's not where majority of your damage is coming. I guess a destroyer boss is useful. When she falls below 60% HP, she takes 10% less damage, and her anti-air, anti-submarine warfare, and evasion go up by 30%. This procs once per battle. That's not very good. In short, this ship is bad, collection only. Done. In that light, let's move on to the next likely collection-only ship too, but that is the Elite Submarine KMS U31. And her stats seem to be upholding my hypothesis so far. I mean, come on, while submarines are usually known for their HP, she has the lowest HP of any submarine. In fact, she has the lowest HP of any ship that doesn't include the Universal Bolins. Skill number 1, she gets plus 10% damage dealt against flooded enemies. Also 3 seconds after entering battle, she moves forward and deploys 2 mines. If enemies hit those mines, they become flooded for 18 seconds, and it deals damage over time. Additionally, if it's an enemy battleship that hits the mine, it gets slowed by 20%. So basically a bad Leonardo da Vinci kind of. And then skill number 2 is just like the very basic wolf pack. She gets a boost to her torpedo hit and reload stats for every KMS sub in the fleet, usually 18%. Hypothesis confirmed. She's bad. Moving on, let's talk about the first SR of this video, KMS Z47, another Z destroyer. Stat-wise, she looks like an enhanced version of Z46, which as far as Z ships go is one of the better stat lines. Skill number 1, when equipped with a KMS weapon, her torpedo efficiency is improved by 10%, and every 2 times that her all-out assault is procced, she additionally launches a torpedo barrage. I can't decide if I like the enhanced KMS weapon here or the enhanced AP ammo damage with Z46. In practice, there won't be much of a difference because most of the good AP ammo destroyer guns are KMS, and vice versa, the KMS destroyer guns are going to be AP, so probably doesn't make too much of a difference, but I don't know. I think potentially the AP one could scale better because I don't know if there will be really good HE KMS weapons for destroyers that make this more useful. Of course, obviously, this is less of a boost because the efficiency of 10% 50% is not the same as like 25% damage. I do like torpedo barrages though, so that's cool. Let's move on to skill number 2. She gets her firepower and torpedo stat improved by 15%. At least this doesn't have any weird conditions and scales off different stats. When there are light armored enemies within a 45 range around her, she takes 15% less damage and deals 20% more damage against light armor enemies. Now that is a buff, and it's interesting because it's only light armor enemies basically within range. I like this. It's decent. And then she has an all-out assault that does every 10 times that she fires. Of course, her limit break 3 will cut that in half, meaning only 5 times. Overall, this is not a great ship. You're not going to be seeing play of this normally. However, if you were playing Z46 in your Z fleet, this ship looks like a slight boost to her, especially against light armor enemies. So if you're running a Z fleet and you're going against the light armor boss and you're running Z46, swap in Z47. Otherwise, this is not going to see a ton of play, but it is interesting. There are some unique places where you can play this and not be disappointed. For a minor event, German destroyer, I'm not actually too sad about this. All right, we saved the best for last, or at least the ship I'm most excited to review. SR battlecruiser KMS Alvitr. So initially, I don't love that health pool. That's pretty low. Otherwise, she looks a lot like potentially, I don't know, like we're going to be comparing her to like Hood, Amagi, those sort of battle cruisers. That she looks on par, although she looks more squishy. She does have torpedo stat though, which is interesting. So something like Tier Pits or Tosa have those, so she probably has a skill with torpedoes. That's interesting when I look at stats. Overall, not good stats. She's kind of on pace with Hood, if not just more squishy. And Hood was already very squishy. At least she's heavy armor. I guess that will add benefit, except in cases where, you know, heavy armor gets armor break or other extra boosts and damage. So yeah, very squishy ship. Let's see what the skills look like. Skill number 1, she gets a static 15% boost to her firepower and her reload. So that's kind of neat. Wish it would have buffed other people though. There's an 80% chance to proc a barrage when firing her salvo that ignites the enemy that's hit by it for 5 seconds with a special burn that deals 150 damage every second. And it spreads this burn to a random nearby enemy every second. So theoretically, 5 seconds every second, you could spread it to 5 different things. The spread special burn lasts an additional 5 seconds and can be extended, but it doesn't stack and it does not spread itself. So you can technically spread to the same ship multiple times to extend its special burn. I really like this in terms of the mechanic of having this burn that's just spreading everywhere, but 80% proc on a barrage, and the 150 damage per second, whatever. The burn can at least stack on other burns and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I love the idea of this spreading fire. I don't think this particular barrage on this ship will be especially good. All right, let's move on to skill number 2. She gets plus 15% damage against light armor. What is with the light armor hate in this event? Like, literally, between her and Z47, they're like, light armor, we're going to kill you. Additionally, it has a 70% chance to proc a barrage every 16 seconds. So the first skill is when she fires the salvo, and this one is every 16 seconds. So we have a lot of barrages going off on this ship. After this barrage is procced and it hits an enemy 3 times, the crit rate, crit damage of her goes up by 25% for the whole battle. So that's actually interesting. I'm not sure if you can get all 3 of those hits off of one barrage, how likely that is. But if you could, if that is consistent in getting the 3 hits, then, 16 seconds in the battle, you get a crit rate and crit damage boost. Those are amazing boosts. So yeah, I mean, this ship seems very RNG because, she has 2 barrages. Both are okay, but neither of them are proccing guaranteed. And her stat line is, not good to carry her. I mean, she does have good firepower, I guess, but and her barrages must have torpedoes because she has torpedo stats. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like she's on pace with Hood in terms of like the power level, and she's got some good skills there. Although Hood is potentially going to scale better because she can buff other ships that are, being power crept, whereas this ship is completely contained within itself. It does hate against light armor, so you're probably going to be putting HE barrage guns on her. I don't know. I was excited for this ship. I don't think this ship is going to be particularly good. I think this is a pretty forgettable ship overall. Like, when you're talking about 2024 and Hood is being mentioned as a comparable ship, and you're probably maybe not better because Hood has better support skills, this is probably more collection only. I think it's probably a similar power level to Z47, but at least Z47 gets to have all of the Z fleet support that you can pretend you're going to use. But yeah, this ship is, I would say all the ships in this event are probably going to be collection only. At least get that fleet tech for you. So anyway, we do have a best in slot equipment though that you have to get. So there is something coming out of this event that's exciting, and they obviously have a bunch of new skins that look pretty cool. So don't skip on those as well. And yeah, I mean, we got new things coming down the pipeline with PR7 coming soon, and then the EN anniversary in August. And obviously the next UR event will probably be in September. So maybe we'll get a collab somewhere in between there. But for this minor event, none of the ships look especially enticing, but the equipment is good. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Also, special thanks to Nagami, working alone tonight. Super appreciate it. Hope to see you guys in the next video. Take care, and until next time.